and welcome to the ThinkMHK podcast presented by the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce. On this podcast, you will hear about a variety of local matters pertaining to the business community. You also hear from local business owners to hear their story and gain valuable business insights. Thanks for tuning in today. With me today is my co-host is Karen Hibbard, who's the director of Visit Manhattan. Thanks for being with us today, Karen.
It's my delight to be here.
And we have a special guest, someone that you've known in multiple roles, is Summer Ott Dierks. And Summer is our chair-elect of the Chamber, and she will be chair next year starting in January. So, Summer, welcome to ThinkMHK podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Summer, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up with your own legal firm in Manhattan.
Yes. So I was born and raised a Wildcat, so always knew I was going to come to K-State. I graduated K-State in 2005 and went to work for the K-State Foundation doing fundraising for the College of Agriculture. Then I joined Karen's team at the Convention and Visitors Bureau and did convention sales, and knew that I was destined to go to law school eventually, so I had taken the LSAT. Actually, right out of college, I took the LSAT and joined a firm here in Manhattan after I left law school in 2012 at Washburn, and I've been here practicing law ever since.
So, Summer, when did you get active in the Chamber, and why did you decide to become engaged?
So I was definitely active while I was a chamber staff member. I would attend events. I'd meet people. I think that's really when I found the importance of the chamber by meeting different folks in town and realizing that it was such a great networking opportunity. I don't think that I realized the importance of it until I had my own business and then saw advocacy about issues at our state level and city level. That's when I really realized the importance of the chamber.
Summer, when you worked with us at the Convention and Visitors Bureau, we certainly enjoyed that time, and it was an exciting time for the community. We were growing and changing. Talk a little bit about your time when you were with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and now as you are in your current position, how you see the importance of that, as well as being a staff member and then serving as a chamber leader.
So at the Convention and Visitors Bureau, I came in a sales position because that's what I was doing prior, and I knew that I was good at that job. You and I even, we would sell the community as a destination for conventions and envisioned our community growing. We would go down to Branson to visit the convention center before we put our Hilton Garden Inn in place here in Manhattan. And so the time at the Convention and Visitors Bureau was certainly a time to focus on the growth of Manhattan, and I am still focused on that.
So, Karen, talk a little bit about, I know we've talked before about when you interviewed Summer for the job, and she mentioned that she always knew she wanted to go to law school, but talk about that interview and how you felt about it, and then when she came to tell you she was going to law school.
Certainly. Well, it just seems like yesterday Summer came in. We had an interview, again, for the convention sales position. One of the questions that I always like to ask potential employees is, where do you envision yourself in 5 years from now? And back when we asked that question, Summer, your reply to me was,
I will be a lawyer.
So I said, well, you let me know when that day and time will be right. And so 5 years went like the blink of an eye. Summer comes into the office, shuts the door, and I said, have 5 years passed already? And the conversation was, guess where I'm going?
Yes. I said I was going to law school, I'm taking off, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and kudos to you, because here you had established a career. You had graduated from college, you'd established a career, you'd been out of school for about 5 years, 6 years,
Correct.
Right? And then to take that leap of faith to, again, pursue the law degree. Tell us a little bit about what was your driving force? Obviously, probably always been a goal, right?
Yes, always a goal. I really wanted to make a difference in lives personally, like in someone's actual lives at home, the things that they were going through. So that was my drive to become an attorney. I just knew that I could do a lot of great things and wanted to study the law.
So one of the things that you and I have talked about that's interesting is, in addition to the private work you do, you also are now a city attorney, correct, for
Yes.
a few communities?
Yes, I'm the city attorney for Westmoreland.
Okay. And so you get to see some of these issues on both sides, right?
I do.
So, yeah.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about what that experience is like.
It's been educational, very educational, because I have had to teach myself the law, municipal law, like everyone does, it's certainly the practice of law. You don't know everything when you graduate law school. It's been nice in the role of being an executive committee member because I don't have as much city involvement going into the executive committee role. I've learned it through my role as city attorney and things like zoning ordinances or issues that the city commissioners might face. I've listened to those and advised on those, so I'm pretty well versed at this point.
So you talked about the executive committee, and you currently serve on our exec committee and have for the previous 3 years. How did you get recruited to that, and why did you decide that was something you wanted to do?
Yes, good question. So Kristen Brighton actually was the person who called me, and I'm very thankful for her that she reached out to me and told me that she was seeking some younger members to be on the chamber board. That hit home with me because I had always, as a chamber staff member, I'd see the chamber board walk in and I'd think, oh, someday I'd love to be them. And so it was a huge honor to be asked to be part of the board. And then executive committee, of course, that was a natural thing that I couldn't say no. I knew that was a great opportunity, so said yes.
And being asked to be on the executive committee means you will, at some point, in all likelihood, become chair. And so 2022 is your year to be chair, and most chairs come in with certain goals and objectives they want to reach. What are some of the goals and objectives that you have for your time as chair?
Yes. Well, and as I just mentioned, I am very passionate about young professionals. And so our former chair, Wayne Sloan, a couple of years ago, focused on young professionals and revamping that. And I'd like to carry on in his honor to continue that, making sure that our young professionals are paid attention to, that we retain and we attract our young professionals, but also develop more entrepreneurs in our city. And so those are my main goals.
Great. And in the last 3 years as being on the executive committee, what are some of the things that we have done that you're most proud of when you talk to people?
Yes. Well, I think the advocacy of issues is something that I'm very proud of, that we keep our members informed. We try to make decisions that really affect our businesses. We are the united voice for general membership of the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce. So I'm really proud of us doing that work. And then reforming the young professionals into hype and making it what it is today. I think that is a really great thing, as well as focusing on economic development. I think that you, as our president of the chamber, you've done a great job focusing on economic development with Mark being chair, and your past experience has benefited us. So I'm really proud of that.
So, Summer, as you know, the chamber is a full-service chamber in the fact that we have membership, tourism, and economic development. We all work together to make the community better. Why do you believe that having all three of these programs together is a benefit for Manhattan?
Yes, I believe that it is a benefit because we all know what is going on at all times. I think if they're in separate silos, then you don't get to have the crossover and learn about what one area is doing to benefit the other. And so there's a lot more of a connection between those areas, and we can all work together and combine our resources.
So you just started your own business?
Yes.
Let's talk about some of those challenges of being a new business owner.
Yes. So starting a new business, I was very blessed in that I had a lot of community contacts that I was able to call on, and I do lend that a lot to being an active chamber member. I wouldn't have had those contacts if I had not been so active in the Chamber of Commerce. But the struggles are certainly starting your business. You have to have the faith to do that, the leap of faith and the courage to jump out on your own, and the confidence to know that you can and you will succeed. And if you don't succeed, you're in a lot of trouble. So you have to have a good banker. And so my banker was actually wonderful. He's taught me a lot. And in finding good help is actually, that can be difficult. I was very excited to find the woman that I have that's helping me full time. But I have gone through a lot of staff members at my old law firm. And so I want to make sure that we have great prospects in our community, and if they're military spouses, that's great. I think we should give everybody an opportunity and make sure that they have employment opportunities.
And so, to be clear, you just opened your own law firm, and so that's obviously been a challenge, but it looks like something that you've had a lot of fun doing. What is the average business get from being a member and being active in the chamber? What's the benefit to an average business?
Yes, I think the big benefit that stands out is the networking opportunity. I think that's what everybody sees when they see the Chamber of Commerce. You have luncheons, you have after hours, different ribbon cuttings, things to go meet prospective clients, customers. So the networking is really what stands out to me, but the advocacy is certainly another thing that is a huge benefit that I don't think a lot of chamber members might not even know about, and certainly prospective chamber members may not know, because otherwise they would find some more benefit.
And so, talking a little bit about going back to the executive committee, and you've been able to serve with a lot of diverse people, so people with years of experience versus relatively new and different industries. Is there anything that you've learned from those people, or anything that you've experiences you've had that have been important to you along the way?
Yes, I think being a young woman, I mean, certainly in my own job, I've overcome a lot of struggles and adversities that young women overcome. So I think that overall, I think if you're a minority in the room, that doesn't mean that you don't have a voice, and you should always speak up and be heard. And so I think that I've learned that from those individuals.
And you feel like you've had that opportunity as being the chamber?
Yes.
I mean, in terms of chambers, you are definitely relatively young to be a chair. And so is that something that makes you a little nervous, or is it something that you're proud of, or a combination of
both?
All of it?
I think I'm nervous, just as nervous as anybody would going into that role. But I'm very excited about it. I think it's great, and it should always happen. I mean, it should be. We have younger leaders who are involved in the community and want to take those roles, so that's great.
So, question for Karen. Is this the first former staff person you've had that has become your boss?
Yes, it has, and it just makes me very, very proud to have that pleasure and honor to work for Summer rather than Summer work for me. And so what a delight that is. I certainly hope that as you lead the chamber that none of us disappoint you in that endeavor. I do also have another question for you, Summer. Think back to when you first came to Manhattan as a Kansas State University student, and you've seen a lot of changes during that time, as well as you've been very instrumental in many of those changes as well. So as you reflect from that benchmark time, from the first time setting foot on campus as a KSU freshman to now, what are some of the biggest accomplishments that you're the most proud of for the community of Manhattan and yourself personally?
Yes, for the community, I think the growth that I've seen just through my eyes of renovating our downtown district, making it lively down here for folks to work and live and play, as well as opening up to make Manhattan a welcoming spot when you drive in. I think when I first got here, there were some eyesores as you first pull into town, and now it's just beautiful. We just have a great community. So I think I'm very excited about that. And the growth and maintaining our military base and our and K-State and all of our schools that we have, those have grown so well. And then personally, I think that I am proud that I've integrated into the community that I once thought was bordered by 4 different streets in this town. And I've left those. In fact, I live outside of the barriers of those 4 streets. So the integration that I didn't know could be a thing in your community, I've definitely done that, and I've enjoyed it.
Great.
You know, one of the things that is always impressive to me in my 25 years in the chamber business, there are a number of different people like yourself who don't get paid unless they're working, right? So because you're billing, and to give up the time that you give up to volunteer is incredible, and we just want to recognize that and appreciate all of the time you give us, because it is, being on the executive committee and being chair is a huge time commitment, and unlike a lot of people, you don't get paid when you're not working, and so we appreciate that. So, and thank you for being with us today. We appreciate your time to be here today. And as we leave, if you had one thing that you wanted the public to know about the chamber that maybe they don't know, what would that be?
I think step a foot inside the door and find out what the chamber does. I think a lot of folks just don't know what a Chamber of Commerce does. I didn't know until I started working there. And And, I don't know that I would have known if I wouldn't have walked into that building and taken an interview with Karen. So step a foot in, because there are all kinds of different things that you can learn and be involved in through the Chamber of Commerce.
All right. Well, Summer, thank you for being with us, and we'll look forward to a great 2022.
Thank you.
The ThinkMHK podcast is brought to you by the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce. Don't forget to subscribe and like the ThinkMHK podcast on your preferred podcast provider, and you will never risk missing an episode. If you enjoyed our show, please give us a 5-star rating and leave a review. To find out more about today's topic or other chamber activities, please go to manhattan.org. And now back to today's show. Welcome back to the ThinkMHK podcast. My co-host for this segment is Karen Hibbert. Hey, Karen.
Hey, Jason, good to see you.
Good to see you. Why don't you introduce our guests?
I'd be delighted to. Today we have Dan Springer and Amber Petty with us. They both are very involved with the Wildwood Adventure Park. We're delighted to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here.
Absolutely. Can you tell us, as I think about what brings people into our community? Certainly Wildwood has added that new amenity. Can you share with us a little bit about how your business got started?
Basically, the property joining my parents' place where I grew up came up for sale, I'm not sure how long ago, 15 or 20 years ago. And my parents ended up buying it just because they had kind of over the years fallen in love with that land, and it was kind of part of them. So they went ahead and bought it with not really knowing what they were going to do with it. Is kind of how it started. And then they were just looking at different options eventually as a way to kind of utilize it, maybe without just completely developing it into housing and things. So we went on a family vacation, I guess, to Nashville. See, my sister lived out there at the time, and we all went ziplining, and that kind of sparked the idea, I guess. So, and fortunately, we had like the terrain for it out there, and it was a pretty good fit. And then the more we kind of learned about it, we thought it, would probably be a good addition to the community.
So for the people who don't know, talk about where you're located.
We're just a mile south of Manhattan on Highway 177. They're on the west side of the road, kind of right where the Flint Hills meet the Kansas River there. It's kind of the last little point. Lots of terrain through there, big hills, lots of trees, things like that.
Awesome. And you officially opened?
July 2015 is
okay.
when we actually opened up.
So in addition to zip lining, what are some of the other activities that you can do at Wildwood Adventure Park?
We also have a 2-mile, 20 obstacle trail run that we do. We do a big event usually like twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall. And then we also, if you have groups of, say, 10 or more, we'll take out smaller groups throughout the year, let them run through the obstacle course.
I would assume something like that, you would get businesses come out and do team building and those kind of activities as part of what you all offer.
Yep, that's right.
Yes. We also do a lot with the military. Fort Riley brings out a group probably once a month, and they go through the courses. They have PT, so they're always looking for something different, kind of to get off base. So we do quite a bit with them as well.
For people who may have some height issues, would you say, is there different levels? Is it beginner? Is it intermediate? Is it advanced? How would you describe your zipline offerings?
I would say, we start you out smaller. So we start out with our lines range from 100 foot long to 1,400 feet long. So we start out on the 100 foot, smaller ones, and we work. As we progress through the course, they get longer, taller, faster. So kind of build your confidence, I guess, as you go.
So you don't have to be an experienced zipliner. You can come out.
No, we've had you have to be at least 50 pounds or 5 years old, and I guess on the low end, and then you got to be between 50 and 275 pounds, I guess, to zip line.
Yeah, I'd say 80% of the people have never ziplined before.
Yeah.
It's kind of, most people we say, have you ziplined before? And we're like, oh, where? They said, oh, here. So it's not very often you get somebody that has ziplined a lot, just because Kansas, it's not very...
other than the weight restrictions, it's really for any kind of age or type of person. It's a great family activity, so it's something that the grandkids can do with their grandparents, and you're outside hiking through the Flint Hills and kind of get out in nature a little bit.
And so you referenced your dad. This is a family venture, right? I mean, you all operated as a family, and
Yep. So my parents actually started the zip lines, and at the time, I got involved kind of in day one when we started doing the planning and clearing the trails and through the building process and all that. So I started with them there, and then they've been involved for the last 5 years, and then till this year, I ended up buying them out. They kind of were ready to retire, so we still work together, but it's been a good family business, yeah.
We appreciate the fact that you have been an entrepreneurial and taking that risk of starting your own business. We've had the good fortune of being a part of zipping, and what I appreciate by promoting the Flint Hills, it's a different way that you can experience the Flint Hills. Share with us a little bit some of the challenges as an entrepreneurial that you have faced. And then there's an unknown fact. I'm going to ask 2 questions. As you zipped through the Flint Hills, you actually zipped through something that is very unique to Manhattan and Kansas State University. So talk about the entrepreneurial spirit and the challenges of that. And then what is that's unique about Manhattan and Kansas State University that you experience when you zip?
First, with any businesses, there's pros and cons. So whenever somebody is wanting to start a business, it's just looking at the reasons behind why you're wanting to do it. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to work less in general. Usually you don't have a set schedule. It's even when you're not working, you're usually thinking about it or what you need to do, what needs to get done. But it definitely risk and reward with anything like that. I would say with our business in general would be it's seasonal. Obviously in the winter, people aren't really wanting to get outside. When there's snow everywhere, we can't really operate. So throughout the whole year, you kind of have to be careful with what you're maybe spending or doing just so you can make it through the winter. And also we're outside, so weather. What was that, the beginning of June, it rained for like 20 days straight, I think. So that was kind of a challenge, just trying to get people rescheduled or still talking about other things or events we're going to have, just keeping our name out there for when the weather did clear up.
The property where the zip line is located started, they had a rock quarry, I think it was called the Ulrich Quarry, and it started late 1800s, and it was kind of a neat operation, I guess, at the time. Looking back now, it was a lot of work. Like those guys, they knew what real hard work was, but they were prying limestone, rocks out of the sides of the hill by hand with just rock bars and shovels and things, and then hauling them to town with mules and wagons. And then that's what they were. Once they get them to town, the masons would shape them, square them up, and then that's where they were building a lot of the original buildings downtown. Came from up there, and some of the early buildings on the K-State campus. Yeah,
yes.
I think they said maybe Anderson Hall.
Yes, that was my understanding, that Anderson Hall came from that quarry.
Yeah.
And as you zip line, that's what is so fascinating, as you zip right through that, to think of the significance of the Flint Hills and how it has really truly built our community. And now you are entertained by being able to go and experience the Flint Hills in a different way. And right there, you're experiencing a piece of history.
Yeah, and the guides talk about all that throughout the tour. They're very educational. They talk about the quarries. They talk about the different grasses or the different animals that are native to this area. And yeah, you zip on line 6. You zip through one, and then while you're hiking, so we're a zip and hike course. So you hike between each zip line, and you'll hike through several quarries along the way as well.
So you all are both from Manhattan originally?
Yep.
Correct.
So talk a little bit about what makes Manhattan a special place and why you decided to stay.
Families here is one. Family and friends are here, and it's just a good community. There's plenty of opportunity. You can kind of do whatever you want, especially if you're into doing outdoor activities. I feel like there's a lot to offer here. That's kind of why I stuck around. During college and after college, I went away for a little bit and ended up coming back, which I think a lot of people do. Once they kind of see what else is out there, they realize that this is actually one of the prettier places to be probably, and other than sometimes our weather is a little crazy. But.
And I'd say I did the same thing, left for college and came back. Manhattan, even within when I left, it's growing constantly from all directions. And we're kind of just nestled into the middle of this valley where you have I-70 that's only 9 miles away, and then you have Kansas State University, Fort Riley. So there's constantly people coming in and out, or people coming to visit, so it makes tourism good. There's always people looking to do something, whether they're eating, shopping, or looking for an activity. There's something to do around Manhattan, so it makes a good community, and everyone kind of supports each other in that way.
Yeah, and Dan, you brought it up. Manhattan really is a mecca for outdoor kind of activities, right? Do you guys fall into that? And do you enjoy doing the other outdoor activities, boating and canoeing and hiking? And I mean, are those all things that you all do? As well?
Yeah, we do that pretty regular. If we're not zip lining, we could be paddling down the river. We just took all our guides out last week, actually, kind of like a thank you for working over Labor Day weekend. We took them all on a little float trip down the river. You know, we just like being outside and living that lifestyle, I guess.
And you think people visit Manhattan because of that reputation as an outdoor community, or do you find that when you talk to people who are at your...
Yeah, I think so. We get quite a few people that, most of the people that come out our way anyways, they're looking for that, so we see that quite a bit, I feel like.
Yeah, they're always asking, like, where can I go to hike or rent a kayak or anything like that. So we're always telling about local places where they can go to kind of explore a little more. So I do think, especially during the summer and everything, everyone's looking for something outdoors to do.
We'd like to offer our congratulations to you once again as you won the Tourism Development Award at our annual Business Awards Luncheon. What was your initial reaction to finding out that you were nominated?
We were very honored in general, just because there's so many deserving businesses in Manhattan, especially anybody that had to own or operate a business this past year, going on 2 years now, deserves some sort of recognition. It's been a rocky road, but everyone's been doing their best. So just for us to be listed with the other two nominees was an honor, because they deserve it just as much as we do.
And of course, you didn't know if you were going to win or not when you came. So your parents came and you found out you won. Obviously congratulations, but I assume everyone was excited about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's I don't know, I guess they call it labor of love. You just work at it all the time, and you just eat, sleep, and breathe it, and so it's definitely nice to see that other people appreciate our hard work. I guess.
And of course 2020 in particular, and even some in 2021, has been difficult on the tourism industry because of the pandemic. I'm assuming yours wasn't exempt from that, but you did have the advantage that you have an outdoor venue. But talk about that whole experience, and what did you learn through that process, if anything, and do you think you were able to come out of it because of your outdoor venue, or is it something that you still continue to fight through on a daily basis? Being outdoors definitely helps people feel more comfortable. We did have to shut down for 2 months, I believe. What was that, last spring?
Yeah, we got through spring break. So we usually shut down January, February. So we opened up for about 2 weeks. Then spring break. Then we had to shut down until the first week of June. Really, it was the unknown, because you didn't know if it was going to be a month. You didn't know how long it was going to be. So that part is a little nerve-wracking, just kind of waiting and seeing what's going to happen. But once we were able to open up, everybody was tired of being stuck in their house. We did have to make quite a few changes on group sizes and spreading them out, because we couldn't have so many people here at once. So that was kind of a challenge. But there was certain things we figured out we can do and couldn't do, which I think every business kind of figured out what works and what doesn't work through that time. And do you all feel like you're back to pre-COVID normal, or have you had to continue to make some adjustments?
We had some of the adjustments that we made during that time we stuck with. I would say, going back and looking over like the books and stuff, this year was probably about average. Maybe a little bit above average, probably. Yeah. Just because, like Amber was saying, people are ready to take the mask off and get out and just be normal again. So I think that probably had a lot to do with it.
You've started a business twice because you started with your parents and then you recently just bought it. So what advice do you have for individuals who are thinking about taking the step to start or purchasing a business? What advice would you give to them?
Do it for the right reasons, I guess, and just be willing to work hard. If you have to put in extra hours and things, you're probably going to have to do some of that, and just try to be realistic about the finances and maybe what you're willing to sacrifice. You may have to give up some family time or something else in order to kind of get it kicked off and going. So make sure that you're maybe in a position where you can do that.
Amber, what about you?
Yeah, like Dan said, right reasons. One thing is it's not going to be your normal 9 to 5. It's something, like you said earlier, you're going to eat, breathe, and sleep it when you're not at work. Knowing that at the end of the day, you only have yourself to be like, oh, hey, we need this or that. But on the good side of it, with our business, you get to see what you want happen. So if you want to go out and do something, add something to the business or add something to it, you kind of have that freedom to be able to start something new, like with how we added the trail run and stuff. You can kind of just build off of what you have, and then just seeing people's faces every day, like coming out, meeting new people from all over is one thing that we've liked, and just seeing kind of the effort that you put into it come out of it.
Karen, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I talk about that Wildwood is an important part of our tourism efforts. Maybe what is not just Wildwood Adventure Park, but in general attractions, so things that get people to get out and about. Talk about Wildwood and then talk about the importance of attractions.
Absolutely. The importance to offer a visitor many things to choose from is great. Wildwood is an unexpected, exciting venue where people can build their confidence. They can learn a lot about themselves. As we've talked, they can experience the Flint Hills in a whole new way. And it's memorable. And certainly that's what, as tourism in Manhattan is all about. It's about making a memory. Whether you are an art lover, a nature lover, a music lover, a sports enthusiast, Manhattan has a lot to offer. And so to have one more entity in which to keep that visitor here a bit longer is great. And so we are so thankful for you for the vision that you have had to make your dreams come true, but also to help that offering for a visitor to have a whole new experience in Manhattan, Kansas is very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah, and everything that the City of Manhattan Chamber has done for us throughout the past 6 years hasn't gone unnoticed. So we appreciate everything for posting about us or advertising certain things we have, billboards, everything. It definitely makes a huge difference.
Great.
So speaking of posting, and Karen and I were having breakfast one day, and we saw a post where you had a celebrity at your facility shouting out Manhattan and how great Manhattan was. Maybe talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, we had Melissa Villasenor. She is a comedian, and she was doing one of her comedy tours. So she started in New York and was ending in Denver. And since we have that perfect location right off I-70, she decided to make a little stop. And Dan and I actually got to take her out on a zipline tour. So it was a lot of fun. She really enjoyed it. She thought Manhattan was beautiful. We told her some places to go downtown. I think she ended up going to the Chef for breakfast. So yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. And then she posted about it, and it got a lot of recognition on there. So that was awesome.
And Karen, that was a big push for the Convention Visitors Bureau, right?
It was a huge push for us, and just proof that social media works. And there are a lot of eyes on Manhattan and our offerings. And so to be able to host her, sometimes we have folks that let us know that they're coming to town, but as a comedian, as a celebrity, certainly there are times that folks really want to be somewhat private and enjoy their own experiences, and I think this was a perfect example. She had found us on social media, wanted to experience that, but then to tell others. So she was able to have a great experience.
Yeah, she actually found us on social media, messaged us on Instagram, and said that was the night before and said, I'm driving through. Is there any way I can go the next morning? So it was very last minute, but it was definitely through social media. That's how she messaged us, was through our Instagram account. So yeah, it's a very, very powerful tool to have.
Social media works.
Well, that's great. Dan and Amber, thank you so much for not just appearing with us today, but your investment in our community. And congratulations again on your award win. We were thrilled to be able to give you all that award. And thank you for being with us on ThinkMHK.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for listening to this episode of ThinkMHK, a podcast produced by the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce. If you enjoyed the ThinkMHK podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe and share it out on your social media channels. Feel free to reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce.